This workshop is about the painted tile or the decorative tile. Who knows what is the painted tile? What is this tile, this type of tile? Who is from Turkey here? Everyone? Not everyone. From Turkey. Because you have this type of tile in Turkey, Izmir tile. Yeah. Yeah, in Izmir. Iznik. Oh, okay. Painted tile has always been a method for decorating distinguished buildings in mosques, palaces, houses of wealthy people, schools. And it is used from South Asia to Europe. You can see it everywhere. In Thailand, you can see this type of tile. In Europe, you can see in England, Spain, Portugal, different countries, they have their own styles all. They are used worldwide. But each country has its own way of drawing the colors, and some of them are signature. For example, this red color on my dress is Iznik. Yeah, that's very common in your country. And in Qajar dynasty, for example, in Iran, the yellow color is very famous, and the special rose flower that is painted on the tile. And therefore, those who are professional, when they look at the appearance of the tile, they understand, they can guess, to predict from which historical period does this tile is coming, from which area, and this way, those who are familiar with these pattern, motifs, and colors, they can understand the origin of the tile. In Iran, the method that we use for producing this type of tile is unique to our country. In your country, it should be different. But what we are going to explain here is the way that we use traditionally. It has been used traditionally to produce these type of tile, and we explain why. And you will try to make these tiles based on that technique that is used traditionally in our country to make your own tiles. We give you all some samples of patterns, and you can even draw your own pattern or make it on your tile. And we will show you the traditional tools used for producing this type of tile. This one for drawing the main lines, this one for putting these holes on these calc papers, and why we use calc paper, and what are the procedure to make these beautiful tiles. And we also brought for you some traditional glaze, the stain that we use, and they are baked in the kiln, and then the colors are fixed. But for today, we are going to use the modern type of stain that is the temperature for baking. It is only 200, and it can be baked in the normal oven at home. Therefore, it's very limited, the number of the stains that we have here. Therefore, we will share it on palettes. We give it to you, everybody, so that you can paint your own tiles. This is a sample I put from your country, and this is from Qajar dynasty, as I explained to you. The roses, the special yellow color, they call it royal yellow, if I want to translate it word by word. For example, this is a signature of Qajar dynasty in Iran, because when someone sees these roses and the yellow color on the tile, for sure it's come from Qajar dynasty. And this is for Iznik. The red color is special. I will give you the details of the preparation steps, and then after giving a general idea to you that what the procedure is, then you will start doing it yourself and sense it with your own hands, that how is the procedure. And what is common, for example, in my own home, I use this type of tile beside my oven, in my kitchen, and it's not common to be used, for example, in your house, but since we are involved in this art, we did it for ourselves in our home, and it makes the area very different, very distinct and beautiful. The pattern, as I mentioned earlier, are drawn on calc papers. They are thin, flexible, and transparent. We use flexible because it's easy to move and be placed on the tile. The thin is good because being thin is good because we use these simple pin to make holes on the lines, on the main lines of the drawing, and then we use, this is charcoal powder, coal powder. Yes, first of all, you draw the pattern. Yes, just on calc, simple paper. And then you produce holes all over the lines of the patterns. And then you use coal powder, just black powder, and you move it over this, and the pattern is it's here, like this. You can see it. Then you use ink. Ink is also a special ink, a traditional ink, to make these lines more clear using this calligraphy pen that you have on your tables. And the next step, I will explain step by step. So we use flexible paper to make it easier for us to transfer the motifs and the flowers and everything that we have drawn the pattern to the tile. It should be thin so that it is the holes are created easily, and it should be transparent because when it moves, you should see the pattern under it so that you can fix it to continue transferring the patterns based on what you have on your tile already. When it is, for example, moved a bit, you should see the underneath so that you can move it and follow the previous pattern. Using needle, these holes are created all over the lines. It's simple needle. What we did is that it's a broken pen, for example. We use fire to just make it easier to keep it. It's not something unusual. Just a simple needle. You can use simple needle. It's okay. But when you want to do it, for example, for a long time all over your day, it's easier, more convenient to have something like this that is easier to keep in your hand. Using that traditional ink, we redraw the pattern on the tile. And after the pattern is drawn, we use stain, the glaze, to color it. The color of the glaze, what we see, is different from what it is after when it comes out of the kiln. The color will change. But the colors are, for example, say it is turquoise, but it looks purple. It is not the same color that you see, but when it goes to the kiln and it comes out, the color is different. As explained earlier, there is coding also for this type of tile, because when you want to, for example, cover a whole wall, they should have numbers so that the person who is going to install them knows which one should come here, which one should come to the top. There is coding and numbering on the back side of the tiles before it goes to the kiln. The painted pattern is colored with traditional inks, the traditional glaze or stain, and then sometimes, generally worldwide, the raw tile is used for this purpose. But for example, when you want to cover a whole wall, sometimes when it is better to use simple white color wall tile and then draw your pattern. The background is prepared in advance. the background white color, or any color, not necessarily white. But sometimes it is easier to use pre-colored simple wall tile and then draw your pattern on that instead of having it drawn on a raw tile without any colors. The traditional stains and glazes are baked at 1070 to 1100 degrees Celsius. But the inks that we just gave you, they are modern stains that can be baked in simple oven, 200 degrees. Sometimes you use, for example, gold color, like this one, in your tiles. This one, the temperature is different from other stains. This all the other colors bake at 1100 something, but this one only at 650, 700. If it goes, you paint it all together and you put it in the kiln, these will burn. You should do it in 2 steps. First, you put other stains and dry it complete. It comes out. Then you add gold color and put it in a lower temperature. But now those limited number of stains that we gave you, as I mentioned earlier, they are modern stains, and they can be baked at normal oven, 200 degrees Celsius. And then finally, the prepared tiles are installed on the wall in mosques, schools. It's very common to have tiling in our schools in Iran, for example. And they are attached to the wall using gypsum, cement, or special tile glue. And this is a calligraphy, masonry calligraphy. I think Haj Ali knows very well this type of writing, and it's written La ilaha illallah, and it's repeated 4 times. And that's all about explanation, but we will do it yourself. Previous one? Yeah. This is in Isfahan. And decide which colors you want to use. There are a limited number of colors that we just gave you. And you have to mix them well because it's a suspension. It's not smooth. You have to mix them well. And you cannot put 2 adjacent colors right after each other. You have to wait. This one is dry, and then you draw the next one. You can choose. Yeah, and before doing the painting, you have to clean your tiles well with hand or with tissue, something like that. And the colors, when they go to the oven, they change. The color changes. The one that looks like yellow is yellow. It turns out yellow. This one that looks like green and something between green and gray, it will turn out green. The light gray, yes, the light gray is dark blue. Yes, light gray, this one, dark blue, yeah. The darker gray is black, And this one, which is between blue and gray, is turquoise.
Yeah, this color.
The colors that you are just using is the traditional one. These are the modern glazes. Look, everybody, if you want to bake it at home, you have to use this type. If you want to bake it at home, you have to use this type of glaze. If you want to have it in kiln, she said that they have kiln in their school, use this type of traditional glaze that we just gave you on the palettes. These are traditional glazes on the palettes. This one is for home baking. This type, various colors on your desks.